everybody. So today I'm going to talk about the two different expos that I have been to and compare and contrast them and to try to get an idea of what I think is the best bang for your buck, the best option to go to D23 or to go to FANX here in Salt Lake. It's kind of a comparison between a small expo and a large expo. And they both have their pluses and minuses, so let's talk about it. So the first difference between the two expos is that D23 is every 2 years. And so it's not something you can do very often, whereas FanX in Salt Lake is twice a year. So if you miss it once, you definitely will have a chance to catch it again. Also, the price is different. You can get a gold pass, which really gets you into just about anything that you want to do for FanX for depending on when you buy it, between $70 and $100. The pass to get, that's for 3 days, and then you can get single day passes to both. For D23, you're going to be spending, depending on when you buy it, for a 3-day pass, it's going to be between $170 and $200. So just out there alone is a big difference in price. Obviously, there is the added benefit of the fact that I have to travel to get to D23, whereas I am at home. Your local cons are going to be more convenient, going to be closer. So it's definitely something to consider, but that also is sort of part of the fun of making it a travel, making it a vacation destination. And so that's something to consider. Once you have your badges for both cons, then we get into some of the nuts and bolts of the different cons. Advantage to going to D23 is that you get exclusive content that you can never get anywhere else. I have been able to go to many of what they call sort of celebrations at D23. I've been twice. And to be able to go to a concert experience where you get to hear Jodie Benson sing at Little Mermaid, you get to hear the original singer for the Circle of Life sing, you get to hear from the animators, the directors. I went to a panel for Hercules where you heard Susan Egan sing. I have been to an amazing Aladdin panel where I got to hear from not just the voice actors of Aladdin and Jasmine, Linda Larkin and Scott Weinberger, but also the various performers in Disneyland and the Broadway, all of that in live action. And that's just so neat and something you'll never be able to get experience anywhere else. I got to go to a concert where I was able to hear Alan Menken sing basically his whole catalog at D23. That was incredible. So those exclusive experiences is where I think it really becomes an incredible experience. I'm going to D23. I got to go to a panel where I got to hear the voice of Mickey Mouse, of Goofy, of Donald. I got to hear the voices of all the Disney princesses, a bunch of them at least, that were speaking about that experience. Got to hear Leia Carvalho sing. Those kind of exclusive experiences are what make D23 such an incredible experience. And then you also have exclusive experiences that are more sort of fleeting, I guess, but still pretty cool. Like if you get to go to the bigger panels, you get to hear announcements about upcoming projects. You get to watch exclusive video about projects that are coming up. Like we got to see a whole video about the What If series and quite a bit of animation, surprisingly. And so that's something that nobody else has gotten to see unless you are at D23. A lot of that, though, ends up getting released, and sometimes fairly quickly. Like we waited forever for the studios panel, and the one of the big exclusives was to get to see the clip with Dark Ray, and then they released it the day after. which was kind of a bummer because it felt sort of like an exclusive for that panel. But so yeah, some of that is rather fleeting, like I might say. So the experience at FanX, on the other hand, is different. It's not exclusive. There's nothing that you're going to do at FanX that you wouldn't be able to do at any other con around the country. But it's still really cool experiences. You get to hear there's all different kinds of panels, and they have a really good group of guests. I mean, I've been able to hear from everybody from Tom Holland to Jeff Goldblum to Warwick Davis to Ian McDermott, Jodie Benson, Paige O'Hara, just a huge range of people. And obviously at FanX, it's not going to be Disney specific because it's not a Disney con like you get at D23. And sometimes I felt like that FanX was kind of hostile to Disney, that all the panels were kind of, is the Disney princesses ruining your daughter, and are they a good example? And it was just like all of them were kind of like that. I understand a couple of them, but all of them were kind of like that, and that wasn't my favorite. I didn't really care for that. And so the panels it's just a different experience than the panels at D23. But they're as cool as the panels are for D23, there is a huge price to be paid for them. Even with reservations, which they tried this year, which didn't really work all that well, even with reservations, you still have to wait many hours to get to do any of these cool things that I'm talking about. I waited to get into the studios panel. I waited a good 4 hours, and that was with a reservation. So you just plan on every single thing you want to do at D23. You wait at least an hour. I mean, I'm talking everything that you do, you wait. Whether it's taking a picture with a statue or going to any panel of any kind, and that's not the case at FanX. You can actually at FanX, and I've done this multiple times, you can just find a spot in the grand ballroom and you can just stay there all day if you want. Whereas at D23, you have to get back in line for every single thing you want to do. And so it's just things like that yes, the experience is really, really cool at D23, but it's kind of grueling to get to do anything, and it's exhausting. Whereas it's more fun at FanX. Differences between FanX and D23 is at D23 they have some photo ops, I guess, but they're not anything that you purchase separately. You have to wait in line for a photo op. And usually the photo ops are more like animation talent. Like I had my picture taken with Floyd Norman, who is an incredible animator that has been part of Disney for forever, all the way he worked with Walt Disney. So that was really, really cool for me. There's a lot of people at Talent Central that are with Disney Junior, are with the Disney Channel kind of experience, and so and ABC and things like that. It's not the same as the photo ops that you get at FanX. Then at FanX you have a couple different photo op opportunities. I mean, first of all, you can just take the pictures when they're doing their panel, which is something that I tend to do quite a bit, and you get to hear them give their panels. And you don't really get the same kind of panels at D23. They're more of sort of choreographed events. For the most part, there are the archive panels, but there's not like Q&As and things like that at D23. And the FanX, they tend to have the panel with the celebrity, and then there's the live Q&As for the most part. And then with photo ops, they're actually run by a different company other than the FanX company. And I'm not a big fan of the photo ops. I just find the whole experience to be kind of stressful. You have to wait in these long lines, And I mean, they're not D23 long, but you have to wait in long lines, and you get literally like 30 seconds with this person. You're kind of shoved in there. When I got my photo op with Carrie Fisher, I had to sit on the ground with her dog. So that was weird. And I don't know, I would rather sit through a panel where I get to hear the person talk about their experiences and take a photo of them talking than have a picture of me with them that I've spent. I mean, you can't say anything more than, hi, nice to meet you. That's about it if you're lucky when you do the photo op. I prefer, if I'm going to do a photo op, I much prefer sort of the selfie variety. So you get in line if they're doing it. The big names aren't going to do these kind of photo ops, but you get in line, and usually for a lot less, it's like 20 to $40 or whatever to basically get a selfie, and you get a chance to actually talk with them at their booth, and it's just way more pleasant, in my opinion. So I've done a few of those. I did Ralph Macchio, I did Linda Ballantyne, and I did Susan Egan recently. That's definitely way more my jam. But my friend Jill, she has done tons of the celebrity photo ops. She gave me permission to use some of her photos here. She really enjoys it, and the way that she's able to make it work, because these photo ops can be over $200 just for like 30 seconds with this famous person, and then a photo. And so it's very, very, very expensive. But what my friend Jill does is that she groups with a bunch of friends so that she's able to cut down the cost of the photo op. And so she has a ton of fun doing that. It's a big part of FANX for her. And so, everybody gets to do what they want and make it the FANX that they enjoy. And so that's an option if you really value those celebrity photos. And that's not something that's going to happen at D23. So that's something to consider. Another difference between D23 and the FANX Expo is that you're going to have very different show floor booths in D23. A lot of those are at D23 are more showcases rather than stores. There are a few, obviously there's pin stores, there's definitely different vendors that sell Disney products, but to get into the shopping experiences at D23, you're going to have to wait forever. And if you want exclusives as far as the shopping, that's almost impossible. You have to wait overnight, and even if you wait overnight, you may not still get the exclusives that you want. Whereas there really aren't shopping exclusives at FANX. It's not like people are dying to debut their latest Funko Pop or their latest merchandise at Salt Lake at the FANX. Some of the other local cons, like in Chicago or in New York or someplace like that, might be different. But in FANX, the show floor is more individual vendors selling jewelry, selling comic books, selling posters, stuff like that. That it's not quite the same. There are some of that at D23, but it's not the same. And most of the stuff that you're going to want to purchase at D23, you're going to have to wait in a long line in order to purchase. And the if you go on the show floor at FANX, for the most part, you can, if there's if they're like Back to the Future car there, you can pay and get your picture taken, or you can have your picture taken with the TARDIS or something like that. And most of the time those are free to minimal cost and with minimal wait. Whereas at D23, anything like that, it may not have a cost, but you're going to have to wait 30 minutes to an hour at least to get to do anything that's kind of cool like that. So the show floor experience is really different between the two. So that's the main difference between D23 and FANX. D23, you're able to get content that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else, and that's specific for Disney fans. It's a lot of fun. It is grueling. It's exhausting, and You just have to know what you're getting yourself into. And with FANX, you don't have to do as much waiting, but you're not going to be able to get the exclusive experiences. But they have the photo ops, which you can do if you feel so inclined. So that's the main differences between the two cons. Honestly, if I had to pick, I would rather go to FANX than D23 because it's just less exhausting, so which makes it a more pleasant experience to me. And the exclusives are really, really cool at D23. So luckily they have it every 2 years, so I can just go to both. But anyway, that's the main difference between the two. Let me know what you think about D23 or FANX if you've been to either one. I would love to hear your thoughts, which one you think is better. And thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you later. Bye.